Well, you know, one of the questions I'm asked a lot is how did I become an artist? And my mom had a lot to do with it. Every time I would come home having a bad day and other students would tease me about my stuttering, she would go say, make mama a picture. So I made my mom a lot of pictures, and I always accredit that to me becoming an artist. And to give you a little background about me, I'm from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Did my undergraduate at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Then I went on to get a Master's of Art in Art Education from University of Illinois, Champaign, Urbana, a Master of Fine Arts in Drawing from Northern Illinois University. And from there, I moved to Atlanta in 1985. I started teaching at Camp Creek Middle School, which I was initially hired to open up the magnet program at Tri-Cities, and it took about 6 years for that to happen. So my first job was at Camp Creek. I taught in the hallway, and that year I was Teacher of the Year. And because my students won a lot of awards, back then they had the Scholastic Art Awards, and that year we won out of 4 out of 5 categories. We won in drawing and painting, we won in printmaking, we won in sculpture, and we won in mixed media. So then I was surplus, meaning that the accommodation of the school could not accommodate so many people. So my third year, I was transferred to Woodland Middle School. And there, my second year there, I was Teacher of the Year there. And I then was teaching with a guy by the name of Ayo Kunle Odileye, a wonderful sculptor who really became like a mentor to me. And he and I won a number of awards too. And he went on to teach at Kennesaw University. And then the magnet program opened up at Tri-Cities. And when the magnet program opened up at Tri-Cities, I was picked to be chairman of the art department. But then I did teach there, and I hired Tony Loto, which was a great, for me, one of the best decisions I made, because we kind of balanced off each other, even though we both were very competitive. And we built, I said humbly, we built a great program there. A lot of our kids attended college on scholarship. Each year we would have a kid selected for the Governor's Honors, or they would be a alternate for the Governor's Honors program. So I was there for 4 years. And later on, the city of Atlanta applied for the 1996 Olympic Games. And I was represented by the McIntosh Gallery then. And a guy by the name, I think his name was Bruce Kirkland, came to her and talked to her about artists who could do large-scale projects. I finished a piece in City Hall called the Daily Agenda, which won the Urban Design Award for public art. And I was doing murals in public art around the city. And when they came to her, they asked if they could speak to me about doing the mural for the Olympics. And we talked, and I kept saying that. They said, well, it's going to be 15 stories. We want to find a way to welcome the world to Atlanta. And I'm afraid of height. I'm like, God, dog, I don't know if I could do this. I read this artist by the name of Rick McClung, who was a billboard artist. He gave me an idea. He said, man, what you can do is you can do it on a contact paper. And I know somebody that would install it for you. Then you get the project. So I went in, I came in and told him how many days it rained in Atlanta from 1990 to 1994. How many days it snowed, how many days it was over 80 degrees, how many days it was under 40 degrees. So I said to them then, there's no way you can have somebody hanging from a scaffold to paint this mural. So then I gave them my concept, and I told them that information, it was copyrighted, so I got the projects. And I had several stipulations. I wanted to hire some of my former students, and I did that. And then I wanted to bring along a few other young artists just for the ride or the opportunity. And that did happen for me. And we did the mural. It was 15 stories. Took us 2 years, 6 months, 17 days, 14 hours, and 32 minutes. That's how long it took. And I found out later it's one of the largest projects that ever been done as a community. And the way you get your face on the wall, somebody had to write a 200-word essay saying why you should be on the wall, what you were doing in the community. And it was basically about the unsung heroes of Georgia. And it was an interesting situation I was in because in doing the mural, I was able to get tickets to all the events. And as well as I would get threats. Whenever I put a white person over a black person or vice versa, people would call and leave nasty messages on my answer machine. So I did have security too. But the mural got international presence, and which gave me an international presence as an artist. So after that, I came back. I was asked to start the program at North Springs High School, where I then taught there for nine years. I was able to build the program up, and we also had a number of students to go to school and college and go on to become art educators, artists, and a lot of engineers. In 2003, I was named Georgia's Secondary Art Educator of the Year, the first African American to ever receive that award. Then later, 2004, I received the Southeastern Regional National Art Educator of the Year award, which I think I was the second African American to receive that award. And so then, in doing that, I was always continuing to do my work. I was doing a lot of art, public art, showing everywhere around the country, and showing out of the countries as well. I decided that I wanted to move back on the South Side. And one of my collectors, two of my collectors, but Brenda and Larry Thompson, who are some of my biggest collectors, they asked me to consider coming to Westlake High School. And at that time, Dr. Dorothy Arnold was with me at North Springs. She had transferred down as assistant principal. And I know that I could really trust her. So I came back on the South Side, and really, I would say, I tried to give the program at Westlake a jump start. And I think a lot of people say I did that, and I helped put it on. I think said humbly that God blessed me to help put the program on the map as an visual art department. So there, I hired George Gabbert and Sean Haynes, which were very, very instrumental in assisting me. And later on, when I was in Tri-Cities and North Springs, I did teach advanced placement in studio art. At Tri-Cities, I had a 94% pass rate in terms of AP. Then I went to North Springs, I had almost 100% pass rate. And when I came down to Westlake, I had 100% pass rate in terms of AP. And I was hired as a consultant for the College Board. I taught at SCAD. 11 years, I taught teachers from all over the world how to teach advanced placement. And a little bit later, 2014, I was awarded to do public art for a piece in an international concourse in Atlanta, which is still there now. It's 20 feet by 55 feet, and it's called Soul Ties That Matter. The idea of the work was for me to, well, let me back up. My work for the last 20 or 30 years have dealt with a number of issues. Number one, a story that my grandfather shared with me. Number two, the two events that changed our lives forever. Right now, three, Hurricane Katrina, September 11th, and COVID-19. And I always say the relationship between me and my professors and the relationship between sight, sound, and color. As well as one very important event is voting. Every instrument or every medium I use has to do with a particular event in my life. When I graduated from high school, I didn't want to go rest the boat. My grandfather took me to a tree where African Americans were lynched by their neckties on the way to vote. And this left a profound image in my mind. So it wasn't until 2003, a book came out entitled Without Sanctuary that listed the lynchings that took place. And in the book was the lynching that took place near my grandfather's property. Later on, I went to the Legacy Museum in Montgomery and found out there were several lynchings that took place near his property. So the necktie always appeared in my work. And when you think about the necktie as a tool and a motif for me, it became that artistic form that normally appears in my work over and over and over in some type of way. And it's wood. So I'm actually bending wood. People ask me all the time, how do you bend wood? My comment is, ancient black man's secret. September 11th, I was supposed to be in New York that day before I decided I wasn't gonna go. A friend of mine, Eric Mack, went, and a friend of mine by the name of Bill Stevens sent me a photo of a little boy holding a piece of tar paper and aluminum or steel. So I started working on tar paper and aluminum as my protest against September 11th. So that's the way I got it. And each medium I use have something to do with a particular event, so that's very important to me. The pizza at the airport, Soul Ties That Matter, 20 feet by 55 feet by 2 feet. What I did was I went to the airport for 7 days. I talked to people from 37 different countries around the world. I asked them, what are some of the main words, some of the things that you instill in your family, or you feel like are important to being to environment or society? Family, hope, peace, love, faith, perseverance, and friendship. So in each continent are African patterns and shape that deal with that particular country, and all of them are like etched in each continent. And that's how I came up with that piece. I've been fortunate as an artist to be able to work, and the work sometimes evolves on its own, or it teaches you about it. Though my work is abstract, I always say people always wonder what are they looking at. And one way to look at art is, when we teach art, we talk about the 4 steps of art criticism. Description, what does it look like? Analysis, interpretation, and judgment. When you think about what is it that I see that I can recognize, whether it's color, shape, or form, and the analysis is based on the elements and principles of art. Line, shape, form, color, texture, space. Then you look at the principles of proportion, harmony. You look at all those things. How the artist put the things together. Then you look at the analysis. How does it feel? How does it make you feel? What is about it that you like? What is about it that you dislike? So abstraction is no other way of doing it. The same as something that is real. So when you look at work, just try to picture those things, and then the judgment part, that's when you talk about, hey, you know what, I like that, or I don't like it. A lot of times, look at the title of the piece, that'll give you some type of clue. All my pieces are always titled. I don't have anything that untitled, because I listen to music, as I work, especially jazz. I listen to blues, gospel, hip hop, and those things are prevalent in the African American community. So those are things that help me decide on color, shape, and form. Right now, I'm working on, I did a series called Fragments of Frozen Sound, which was about New Orleans. I had a lot of friends who were in New Orleans, frat brothers that experienced Hurricane Katrina. And I would go back and forth with them to pick up things. So I started to map the path of the storm. Where did it start? Where did it go out? And I used sections on the map where I weave the neckties and scarf shapes in between. The necktie shape represent the male, the scarf shape represent the women, the struggle of women. I started working on using the scarf shapes when I was in Iowa, did the visiting artist there. And I asked the kid, name me one major African-American female who made major contribution to America. Only one they can name was Oprah Winfrey. Had to do work, research on Ruby Bridges, Billie Holiday, Rosa Parks, Florence Griffith Joyner, a number of African-American women who made major contributions. And when I did the pieces, I also included these time capsules, which their research papers are in those time capsules. Series is entitled For the Sisters Who Carry the Burdens of Other Sisters. So that was very important to me. And now I want to do a series on sundown towns, where African Americans got to be out of town by sundown. Abstract, but the concept is still there. And I think for my survey show, it really was composed of about 40 or 50 works that was about the last 48 years of what I have achieved and what I was doing. So that's basically what the show is about. I did a series on Arkansas, where I'm from, and a series on gerrymandering, when the black votes are suppressed. My Arkansas series is there in the back. Where you see the dirt is where the black votes are not counted in Arkansas. Around are the neckties and scarf shapes. And so it was several different forms that dealt with it. The piece over here is where you have a totally white Arkansas and everybody that's along the outside. So, so the concept is there and other things, but those are things that were important to me.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Kevin Sipp, the Exhibitions Manager for the City of Atlanta's Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs. And on behalf of Mayor Andre Dickens and my Executive Director, Adrian V. Jefferson, I would like to welcome you today to the Artist Talk for Kevin Cole's Pushing Forward. A phenomenal exhibition featuring a retrospective of his life and art, and I hope you enjoyed the talk.
I asked my kids, name me how many gangs that we have in Atlanta. They gave me 60 known gangs. So I did a piece called Bo Don't Know This. How many kids were killed over their tennis shoes and starter jackets? In Dallas, from 1989 to 94, there were over 716 kids. In LA, there were over 1,015. So I was bringing concern to the idea of kids being killed over their tennis shoes and starter jackets. And the most sought after jacket was the Chicago Bulls jacket. And I got to tell this story because I remember when I did the piece, Michael Jordan, ex-wife, was getting ready to buy a piece of mine. And I was like, I hope she don't see this. So now let's fast forward. Pieces that everybody talk about. How do you do a 15-story mural and you never touch the wall? Normally I say ancient black man's secret. So I'm gonna let you in on ancient black man's secret. When Atlanta got the bid for the Olympics, the Coca-Cola company said, I want to exhibit the unsung heroes in Georgia. So they said what they would do was get people to write a 200-word essay saying why this person should be on the wall, and they wanted somebody to paint the portraits. So I was told that they interviewed me as the last option. I'm afraid of height. I'm not getting on no scaffold. So I told them how many days it rained in Atlanta from 1990 to 1994, how many days it snowed, how many days it was over 80 degrees, days it was over 40 degrees. I said, there's no way you can anybody painting to get this done for the Olympics. Let me introduce you to a vinyl. It's like a contact paper. It'll last from 7 to 10 years, and I copyrighted information. So these are the people who decide if your face was gonna be on the wall. Now, if you notice, I'm 5'10", and notice how big her nose is. It's almost the size of my body. So one of the things that I did, one of the vice presidents kept saying, "But can he paint faces?" I made a huge banner that was 40 feet, said, "But can he paint faces?" And that was my inspiration, and I think he got fired too. So one thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that I hired my assistants. I had several high school kids, and matter of fact, Derek, he's with me too. I wanted to make sure that they had the opportunity to be a part of the project. Now, if you look at the portraits, now I'm 5'10". The gentleman on the right was the first black police officer to graduate from the academy, and he could not arrest white people.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was his story. So then I wake up that morning on December 14th. My voicemail was full. My friends would say, "You're on the cover, you're on the front page of Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and your hands are not behind your back." So I woke up, and I mean, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh wow, this is deep." Now, that was the morning edition. This was the evening edition. I didn't sleep for a day because if anything went wrong, so the way I did it was I gave them the portraits come in 4x8 strips. I would give it to them. They put them up, and they would have several phases. They went with the project. Then in phase 4, so every 3 months there'll be phases. I know everybody's story about it, and I was telling my students I had like a 96-page contract. I could only drink Coke products in public, and they didn't like for me to wear a Pepsi Blue. What the hell is Pepsi Blue? So it was an instant contract. So Dr. Goldstein, that was my man. Before I put your face on the wall, you had to sign off on your face saying you like your face. So Dr. Goldstein said to me, he said, take out the wrinkles from my neck. I said, okay, I'll do that. So he gave me a free weekend at his hotel. And I had just started seeing this young lady. We get there, and the manager says, Kevin, you had a penthouse. The elevator opens up to the room, jacuzzi on the left. You can see the city. And she said, I said, baby, I live like this all the time. So it took me 2 years, 6 months, 17 days, 14 hours, and 32 minutes. It's one of the largest projects ever been done for the Olympics. And so later on, fast forward, I did a series called For the Sisters Who Carry the Burden of Other Sisters. And it was about black women. I was in the Des Moines Arts Center. I taught a class as these kids. Name me one major African-American female who made major contributions to America. They can only name Oprah Winfrey. I had to do research on Katherine Dunham, Elizabeth Khaled, Billie Holiday, and those time capsules are their research papers in the time capsule. And then this piece is in the show. This piece, they asked 13 artists to do a piece on the 50th anniversary of the Freedom Riders. And I noticed everywhere that they would go, there would be a series of lynchings. Along the Southeast, Florida lynched the most women, Alabama had the most group lynchings, and Mississippi had the most lynchings. Now, seldom you find a collector that buys your work, then she buys the furniture. And I tell young artists, I met Maria Campbell in 2007, and she said to me, she said, you know what? One day I want to buy a piece of yours. She sends me a check 3 years later for $4,000 and said to me, I sent you a check, and well, you know how you take mail and throw it along the side? So she said, did you get it? I said, yeah, I have it. So I did these pieces for home. She owns 19 of my pieces of artwork. And she was a major force. And if you're in DC, the National Gallery Museum, African American Culture, this piece is a part of their collection. It's called Increased Risk with Emotional Faith. It was about the idea of New Orleans and the storm. I mapped the path of the storm. And they asked 44 artists to paint a bust of Obama. And this was in 2020. So what I did, being an educator, I asked 22 high school kids, 22 middle school kids, if you had a chance to ask them a question, what would you ask them? So on the right are those questions that they would ask, and 90% of those questions was about mortgage. In 2008, whether they would have a home to live in. And there is also book, there are only a few of those, printed 1,000. So then fast forward, Hartsfield Jackson Airport, I was one of the artists selected to do a piece. And right now, I'm the only American artist in there at this point. So what I did when I thought about doing the piece, I wanted to do a piece that symbolized the dynamics of what was happening in the airport. So I asked 37 people from 42 countries, what are some of the main words that you instill in your family? It was family, faith, love, friends, hope, and dreams. And this is the actual piece. It's 20 feet by 55 feet. You can't miss it if you're on the National Concourse. There's the down view, there's a top view. Now, fast forward to 2020, I received a grant from the Museum of Contemporary Art. I was reading these books, and I started to look at the idea of gerrymandering. With the gerrymandering, how the black votes are suppressed. So I did this series of aluminum pieces called The Dirty South, where you see the dirt on those maps are where the black votes are suppressed. That's Mississippi. I did Arkansas, where I'm from, Texas, Kentucky, and Alabama. Then I created these banners. On those banners are court cases that deal with the idea of voting and deal with voter suppression. The one on the left is North Carolina. The one in the middle is Georgia. The one on the right is Florida. On that circular part is President Trump said, "Make America Great Again." Engraved on that is "Make America Responsible." So these are some of the other monotypes. I had no idea until I did a lecture in Texas that in 2021, I picked the swing state that decided this past election. I was just doing research on them, and I didn't realize that. Somebody pointed that out. So now this is Philip Downing, a black man who invented the mailbox. Back in the day, at your polling precinct, the mailbox was the ballot box. I had no idea that happened. So I asked my friend, I said, ask your parents and your grandparents, what was some of the experience in trying to vote? This one guy said he was asked, how many bullets come in a box? How many black-eyed peas in a bag? So on the bullets are the names of African Americans who were killed by the cops. So that's why I went there. But this was the most interesting one. Ernestine Parker, who was from Oconee, Florida, she was with a long conversation about voting there. The first day, there will be a series of cross burnings. The second day, there will be a series of nooses hanging from trees. The next day, there'll be signs said, you best not be hanging around here to vote. And the educator, my first year teaching, I was teacher of the year, Camp Key Middle School. I was teacher of the year at Woodland Middle School, Turner Broadcast System, Art Educator of the Year, National Art Educator of the Year. So these were things that people want me to talk about. They include that picture. Now, if you're going to start buying art, these are two books that I suggest. I've been collecting art for a while. So here are a few pieces. In my new home, those are a few. Terrence Corbin, who was my professor in Arkansas, was the first piece I collected. Henry Linton was also one of my professors. The late John Howard, who was in Arkansas, he won a national show. And because that was a show, jury show, and he won first prize in the show. Once they found out he was black, they would not give him the award. He did a piece called A Letter to Picasso. And this is a piece by Ernest Davidson. It's me and my son, who's there in the back. The first part, the first face is his face. He was 9. On the right, I was 35 and I was 40. So it's a lamp. And Larry Walker, who is the director of School of Art and Design at Georgia State, Romeo Bearden, Jacob Lawrence, who I've collected, Sam Gilliam, who's a nationally known artist. I always tell the story about Sam. My daughter, she was in the 4th grade, and everybody, her teacher asked them, say, well, for Black History Month, we want everybody to do a report. So everybody was saying Martin Luther King, Maya Angelou, and then my daughter said Sam Gilliam. The whole class said, who is that? So she did a research paper, and she did called Sam and did an interview with Sam. Sam created 3 pieces about her. One of them is hanging in the Mint Museum. My sister owned the other one, and we own this one. Kia Walker, his daughter, Elizabeth Catlett. This is a piece that most women love. I have a room in my house that is by women or about women. And this piece is entitled, Give Me Another Heart, because this one has been broken many times. Every woman loves that piece. Carrie Jane Marshall, Willie Cole, who's a well-known artist, Philip Pearlstein out of Yale, Radcliffe Bailey. I listened to a lot of conversation about Radcliffe, how well that they knew Radcliffe. I'm one of the few artists that Radcliffe, I think I'm the only artist in the city that Radcliffe traded a piece of artwork with. And at his last show in Knoxville, Tennessee, I was there with him, and the lady asked him how did he get involved in art, and he pointed at me saying that his mother saw an article about me in the newspaper, woke him up, and he called me. So this is an interesting piece by another artist. It's about the war, in which we got a war going on now. Faith Ringo, Augusta Savage, then they 36. Eddie White, hand-picked cotton, now picked ballads. Charles White, a lot of these artists are high-profile artists, and then I have a lot of emerging artists. And this guy been with me for 35 years. Stand up there.
Stand on up.
Stand up there. He's been with me longer than both my ex-wives, so. He's been, and then he's also a remarkable artist. But my best piece of artwork are my kids. Yeah. Skylar, stand here. So let's
we wanted to have this wonderful overview because artists have so many facets of their lives. And I wanted him to give you an overview, and he wanted to give an overview of all the aspects, not only as an artist, but as a collector, but as an educator. So we're going to now start getting into little detailed dives.
Okay.
Going all the way back to that conversation with your grandfather. Give us a little more insight into that conversation.
Well, I just turned 18 years old, and I was telling him, it's not going to matter. So my grandfather, he was a very wise man, even though he only had a 4th grade education, but he owned a lot of land. And I would always complain to him about, people saying things about you, and I played sports too. And one of the most memorable moments was when I would go in on Saturdays to pick him up and take him into town and buying things. And I was complaining about people saying things. And we were riding through town, and there was an old man in the corner. Back in the day, they call you a wino. It wasn't homelessness. And my dad said to me, he said, you know what? And my grandfather said, you see the man over there? I said, yeah. He said, think about it. Nobody is bothering him either. I said, no. He said, I said, well, why? He said, because he's not trying to do anything with his life.
I hear you.
So when you look at that, and then the idea of voting, and that was some other stories that he told me about, that traveling around the South, that some places to use the restroom for African Americans, it would cost 25 cents, okay, to use the restroom. And he said one particular place that they had gone, that among the 4 black men, not one had that amount. So they came back and they told the bus driver. The bus driver came back, opened the door, held the door open so they could use the restroom.
These are the experiences people need to.
Yes. So the necktie, I mean, as much as I tried to get away from it, but I like the phrase by Jasper John who said, I'm gonna do something else with it, do something else with it, you know, and do something else with it.
Because that's been very consistent over the years.
Over the years, and then right now, I'm doing a series on sundown towns, where black folks are not, you gotta be out of town. And then I remember being on the bus, on the football team where all the black players had to get down on the bus. We go to certain town. Yes.
All right, now I'm going to bring in something contemporary that just happened that a lot of people may not see the weight of. Anybody checked out the Supreme Court decision yesterday about mailing? An African-American woman who owned a lot of property in Texas sued because the post office refused to give her a key to open up her mailbox for her tenants for the land she owned.
Right.
And they told her they don't have to deliver your mail.
Right.
And she can't sue
Nope.
the government of the United States for not doing so. So they're not obligated.
No.
But nobody brought up mail-in ballots, voter registration, all these things you get through the mail that if you don't get them on time, get in the way of you getting timely information so that you can vote. And I said, it's interesting that nobody brought that angle up. And then I thought about your ballot boxes.
Right. And then you look at the 14th Amendment. The John Lewis voting rights have yet to be approved. So there are a lot of issues that are going on that nobody's talking about. And it's funny because I've been fortunate. At one time, I had 9 galleries around the country.
Yes.
And one of my galleries told me, she said, hey, you're going into a different direction. I can't sell this.
Yeah, the politics of your art
Yes.
was too heavy for them to sell.
Yeah. But I've been fortunate that I have a lot of the NBA basketball players that come in, you know.
And supplement that.
Right, yeah.
But, and I mean, it's very important because a lot of times, I mean, one of the biggest debates we've had over the years in the art world, and I don't see it as a debate because good art is good art. Whether your art is political or apolitical or non-political, or it's art for art's sake.
Right.
I never really understood the term art for art's sake. I mean, years ago, an artist once told me, everything is political whether you know it or not.
Not everything.
And what they mean by that, sometimes you have the privilege not to care about what's going on in the world. But what has earned you that privilege is the politics around you. Mm-hmm. And so when I see an artist like yourself who has created a steady body of work really since your early days that spoke about the injustices and the overcoming of those injustices through your art, what made you want to maintain that consistency? And I may be obvious, but to have people tell everyone why.
Well, I mean, looked at Norman Lewis and Sam Gilliam, who's one of my mentors. And Sam told me in terms of the books that are back, and there are several catalogs for sale and posters. Tell your own story. Before you leave, tell your own story, because if you don't tell it, somebody else is not going to tell it like it's supposed to be told. So that's been my whole concept about doing the work. And I mean, I always say that your faith will allow you to do, I mean, you know, I listen to students, they talk about, you know, I had a group of students came all the way from Montana to my studio, sit there with me. Now, one asked me about how much time I spent in there. And the concept, only thing they want to know is, how did you get Michael Jordan to buy a piece? How much was the Olympic project? And I said to I said, it's never been about money for me. It's two things I live by. My mom, when the three, my mom had a saying, whenever I went out with my best friend, she would line us up and say, boys, what's the motto? Never let the little head tell the big head what to do. Okay. Somebody get it on their way home. And my dad philosophy was never chase money, let money chase you.
And that's a real thing, because as an artist myself, and we talk about Radcliffe a lot because he was a good friend of both of us. But one of the best conversations I had with him when he was alive was being a very successful artist, but having to work to get there.
Yeah.
He said the biggest turnoff he had when a young artist came to him, if the first question they asked was, how did you make the money?
That's it.
Not how did you make the art?
Right.
It automatically became a big turnoff.
Right.
He said they automatically were always, because he said that would let me know that they would be willing to give up their voice to chase success,
right,
rather than develop a voice that would be successful.
Right.
And that's a very important thing for any artist to know, that it's never been about the money. And we're not saying that getting the money is not a thing we don't want to do. We definitely want that,
right,
but not at the expense of our honor, our integrity, our loyalty, our spirit, our creativity. So now let's speak about some of the pieces in this space.
Okay.
When we were putting this exhibition together, the first thing I wanted to do was not create a chronological room. I started chronologically, but then we started to play because I wanted each of these types of work to have dialogues with each other across space and time. And if you look at this room, there's an intentionality about the ties pieces, the bent wood pieces, the metal pieces, because you begin to see how it overlaps. And all the different styles come together and merge into this kind of alchemical mix, as I call it. Let's talk about Jacob's Ladder piece and point out that piece to everyone.
Yeah, Jacob's Ladder piece, it was about one of my professors, the late Terrence Corbin. When he was making his transition, he kept saying...
But before you go there, talk a little bit about Terrence and how important he was.
Terrence Corbin was one of my professors at the University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff. He was about 5'2". And when I graduated from high school, I had 11 scholarship offers. So everybody kept saying at Arkansas Pine Bluff, you gotta meet Corbin. So Nick probably be a lady, but Nick took me to his studio and said, good luck. And he was about 5'2". He was a chain smoker. And when you open the door, it was nothing but smoke. You could see him. All right. So he said to me, he looked at my portfolio and said, this is 17-year-old work. All the rest of the professors, they were ranting and raving. I got outside, I said, that little short man, he think he bad. But little did I know, he was bad. B-A-D-D. Abstract painter, does wonderful work. Unfortunately, he died a little bit in 2009. But a wonderful, across from Magic City, there's a big mural. That's Terrence Corbin.
Oh, yes.
But he was like a walking encyclopedia. And he was one of those guys that really got me involved in art. I always tell this story that my sophomore year in college, there was a group of high school kids inside the gallery. They were playing around, so they sent me in to get them quiet. Came back, I got them quiet, and they said to me, they said, well, you know what? We want you to teach, and we want you to go get your master's. Raised my hand, and then I said, I don't play golf. I didn't never heard of a master's degree. But they started preparing me at 19 years old to go get my master's degree. But that's how important, and I say with historically Black colleges, these were men who were selling artwork around the state. Corbin, the word on the street was Corbin sold over $1 million worth of artwork in the state of Arkansas.
That's a lot. So,
Jacob Black. I mean, this one was about Elizabeth Catlett, who I knew personally, and when she passed. So a lot of the symbolism is there. You got the steps that are there. You got the necktie shape and the scarf shapes that are there. And Miss Catlett was a real important piece person to me because I met her and she talked about a lot of the social and political issues.
and they recently had a major exhibition of her work at the National Gallery of Art. You didn't get a chance to see it. It was phenomenal.
Right.
So, if you could think about all the artists who were your biggest influences, Terrence, I know I've looked at his work.
Right.
Definitely, give me some other names that might have.
Norman Lewis,
And
Sam
why? Why
Gilliam.
Norman?
Well, Norman Lewis, he dealt with the idea of social and political issues, being an abstract artist. And Sam Gilliam was the one for me that instead of putting stuff on the wall, he came off the wall. And when I met him, there was a show in D.C. At the International Visions Gallery. The Washington Times wrote, "I was the second coming of Sam Gilliam," and
big
that
one.
was scary. And I met him. Darrell Walker and Greg had arranged for me to meet him, and I spent a weekend with Sam, and it was probably the most important weekends I ever had in my life because he taught me a whole lot about not only the idea of art, but the idea of being an artist walking in and out of two worlds, one black and one white.
Indeed. A global world that's beyond just black and white, Asian, you
Yes.
name it. Just
Yes.
he was an international artist.
Right.
Let's speak about artist groups like Afro-Cobra and their.
Well, After Cobra started in 1968 by Jeff Donaldson, Gerald Williams, Walford Jarrell, and J. Jarrell. After Cobra means African Communion of Bad Relevant Artists. They were like the Black Panthers of the art movement. And right now, they're still going on. So I was invited in 2003 to be a part of the group. And they were about positive things about African American family, fatherhood, and all of the good things that during the '60s was tearing the African American community apart. Civil rights as well.
And let's talk a little bit about their color theory, because that was also one of the reasons they may have invited.
Kool-Aid colors, shine was one of the main concepts, and bright colors.
Yes, that's one of the things when you told me they had invited you to join Afro-Cobra, I understood immediately why the use of pattern,
Yep.
the use of color theory, but also the use of symbolism.
Similar in the work.
And they were very strong about not using symbols for the sake of using symbols,
Right.
but knowing what those symbols meant so that it could be used in the appropriate manner.
And then for them, it was very important that you're able to communicate what you was doing. That's why I was telling somebody else that every medium I use has to do with a particular event or something that happened to me. I was saying that I have a TV in all three of my studios. Peter Jennings, who was on channel ABC, was one of my favorite anchor persons.
So it wasn't a distraction; it was an inspiration.
It was the inspiration, and he did a story on September 11th. There are over 1,001 remains still have not been identified, and then it would cost the government pennies to find out who they are. So I started working on copper. There was a copper piece behind
Yeah,
the
behind
wall.
the screen.
Yes. So that was my inspiration for working on copper, because every event that happened to me that I've experienced, I make sure a medium identifies with that.
So what would you say, of all the experiences you have, all the things that inspire you, what has been the most impactful? Or are they all together?
Students.
And let's talk about that.
Students. I came in, I was initially, I had signed the contract at University of Wisconsin-Madison after my, I just finished my master's. And it snowed in June. So I'm getting the hell out of here. So I came to Atlanta, and Dr. Kelly Chaplin said to me, she said, well, we want to open up a magnet program. And it was going to be at Tri-Cities. I waited 3 years. And there,
What years? Give people a time frame.
well, I came here in '85. I was teacher of the year, my first year teaching. That had never been happened because I was teaching in the hallway, and my kids won 7 national scholastic awards. Okay, so then the second year I was surplus to Woodland Middle School. I was teacher of the year there. Then I went to Tri-Cities where I met Derek, and Turner Broadcasting System named me their super teacher of the year. So then I took a leave of absence to do the mural for the Olympics, a 3-year leave. Then I came back to start the magnet program at North Springs. And Georgia Art Education Association named me Georgia Secondary Art Educator of the Year that year. And then I came back the next year, the Southeastern Region National Art Educator of the Year. So then, but to me, the students and the lives that you change,
That you impact.
right? I get emails. I was in San Diego, and they sent me a drink, right? It was one of my former students. But the best story was, I was going to Philadelphia, going to a show, hanging out with some of my radical friends. We getting on the plane, we're in the back, cracking jokes and stuff. The flight attendant said, Cole? I said, yes. She said, the pilot wants to see you. I said, okay, I'll be quiet. She came back again. Said, the pilot wants to see you. I went up there. This guy said, you remember? I said, no. He said, my name is Jamal. He said, you taught me one-point perspective. I'm one of the lead pilots and to teach other pilots how to land the plane.
Because of what you taught.
Yes. And I got back, I said, we are in good hands.
But let's give him a moment. Let's give him a hand for this. And it's very important to know how impactful
Yes.
the things you teach someone, how it stays with them their entire
Yes.
lives. I mean, to continually get the Teacher of the Year award means you're doing something right and you're doing something very well. And what did you like most about teaching those students?
I like the ones that came in saying that I can't draw. And just like I would explain to them, Miles Davis, he didn't come out of his mom's womb blowing a horn. You can learn how to, just like you learn to play an instrument, I believe that you can learn how to draw. And I've had so many instances in terms of the parents coming to me when I was at North Springs. Their child was in the math science program. They want to transfer to the visual arts. And one father particularly said, my child was going to go to be a doctor. Now she want to be an artist.
Teach you to be both.
Yeah. So, but you know, the whole idea and the concept was about, you know, I don't care about them being an artist, a productive citizen. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing for me.
Wow. So I'm going to open up the floor a little bit. Does anyone have any particular questions they wish to ask of Kevin concerning his life and his art? Anyone? Raise your hand, please, and I'll bring you the microphone.
Do you still have a studio at the Arts Exchange.
No.
Now, do you remember me from the Arts
Yes,
Exchange?
yes, we had that. We had
Good
that
to
had that
see
show together. Good to see you too.
Okay.
That was a
Anyone
long
else?
time.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
Yes.
It seemed initially your work was figurative.
Hmm.
What was the focus or inspiration that made your work become more abstract?
I think that the work led itself, even in being a painting on a realistic basis. The work always dictates to you where you want to go.
So was it evolution?
Yes. Yes.
Anyone else? No, you got another question? I'm sorry.
What did your mom, we couldn't
Oh,
hear
good.
it, didn't get it, the advice your mom gave you and your best friend?
I'll explain it later.
You have to get a little more detail. On the side. Anyone else? Yes, in the back.
Dr. Arnold.
I know the answer, but I want to ask it anyway. What is the significance of the ties in the pieces?
Well, the neckties are about my grandfather. He took me to a tree with African Americans. They were lynched by their neckties on the way to vote. And if you notice, most of your like elderly people, they dress up to vote because that's a big opportunity.
All right. Anyone else?
I hope so.
I'll start here and work my way down.
Hi, I noticed I sense a great connection between STEAM, like arts and sciences in your work, and abstraction, especially with jazz and so forth. Your use of metals, and specifically, do you feel that science, your interest in science and your passion about abstraction connect with your use of metallurgy or using of metals to manipulate?
Yeah, the idea of science exactly. But when you think about metal, a plane is made out of metal. And when the strange thing was, when I was doing the Coke project, there were certain reds I could not use on a black person's face, and then on a white person's face, or that red it would fade. So we were always sampling paints, and we put it out in the sun. And some of the paints had metal in it.
Hi.
Hi.
So, a lot of your work feels like it's pulling from historical context and research, and I'm curious how you, if you do, separate the lines of historical accuracy and the perspective. Like, what advice would you give an artist trying to approach their work
That's it.
that way?
Yeah, that's good. Well, I think that the work will tell you where it wants to go. And like I say, I got sketchbooks. One of the things I wanted to do was teaching high school what kids had in their lockers. I always wanted to construct these lockers and do paintings of what they would have in their lockers. But I mean, this whole thing, once I started listening to music, and especially Prince and his statement, his music about signs of the time, dealing with AIDS and homelessness and stuff like that, it took me to another direction. I don't know if I ever go back to the lockers. One day I may. But I just think let the work lead you. And I'll say this to a lot of young artists. You can never say everything in one piece. That's hard. And a lot of artists tell me, well, you know what, I want the piece to say all this. I didn't know. It's real hard to say everything in one piece. So that means a series is important.
Thank you.
Kevin, you mentioned briefly what you're thinking.
Hold it a
about
little
for-
closer so everyone can hear you.
Oh yeah, what you're going to be doing in the future. Could you share any more with us in terms of the themes and the materials that you're attracted to?
That's a good question. As I mentioned, I want to do this series on sundown towns. I haven't decided the medium yet, but I have attended shows scheduled in Berlin, and Dr. Curly Holden. I'm thinking about doing a series of mono prints. And a good thing that happened to me last week, I had a group of collectors from New Zealand came in and bought work. They had been following me for 9 years, and they bought 11 pieces. So they were sharing with me some things that I should think about in terms of sundown town. And I didn't realize that a lot of the towns in the Midwest, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, sundown town. So I haven't decided if I'm gonna do shields or if I'm going to do them as fans, the church fan. Because I've been dealing with the idea of the circle for a while. But it seems like black folks keep having to reinvent themselves about voting. So the circle is gonna be a symbolic part of it. It failed. Okay. Where is it? Oh. I got it. Okay. So that's going to be the new series of work, and then I got shows scheduled to 2030. So now what I'm gonna be doing, I have no idea.
How you doing, Kevin?
Doing good.
I just want to say, hey, thank you for being such an inspiration and strong leader in abstract art in Atlanta. As a younger artist, someone to look up to. How to move. But my question is basically, was there a moment when you definitely made a shift into straight abstract? I know you taught drawing and you know how to draw well, but you clearly have left that behind and moved into I would say mostly abstract direction. What was that moment?
I think it was in '96 after the Olympics. I was so tired of painting those damn faces. And everybody wanted you to wanted to look a certain way. So a lot of them I gave more hair to. And now there was one piece, the one portrait I didn't like, but I don't think anybody else noticed it. This young lady, she on the mural, she wanted me, make her face smaller. So it was 6 inches from the left, 6 inches from the right, and I did that. And then I told the story of Rosalind Carter. Jimmy Carter loved his portrait. So Rosalind came in and said, "I love my face, but take out the gray." So it was one, like I say, the faces. I mean, but they were great people to talk to. See if I can find it. I mean, that was our biggest concern. Was this person the left hand corner, the girl with her face turned was the one that didn't quite fit. Nobody else noticed it, and I was like, "Thank you, Jesus." Okay, but that was the one that for me, I didn't tell the installers to change it around. But the whole idea of the project was, if anything was off a foot, I was in trouble. So my math became important. I tested my math for those parts and how much money I wanted to get paid. And one of the things I did, my best friend, who was a lawyer, they had a team of lawyers. I had one lawyer. And it was a 96-page contract. And If that piece is reproduced, if I'm gone, my son will get it, or my grandson, 25%. And if they bring it back, they have to ask me first. And I'm the only one that I have everybody's story. Kobe don't have them. So that's going to be in my archives and my wherever I donate. I got everybody's story. And at the same time, somebody I didn't mention was we got death threats too. Anytime we put a white person over a black person, they would leave messages on my answer machine. And when I put a black man on top of the Coke bottle, it was terrible. And we kept some of the messages as well.
Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm headed to Freddie Goes after this, but I always like to ask artists, what is your creative period? When do you create? When are you in your zone?
Well, I like late at night. It's quiet. And then I have a lot of music that I listen to, but I found late at night is good for me, especially Sunday night.
Between 10 p.m. and 3 in the morning?
Yes.
In terms of Picasso, his body of work, I think it's over 147,000 pieces during his lifetime. I think he lived in his 90s. Remark Bearden is about almost 5,000. Currently, you're still a young guy. How many pieces do you think you've created today?
Ooh. That's scary. I mean, I'm fortunate that I sell a lot of work, and then I say that, humbly. And when I did the mural for the Olympics, I had people coming out of the woodworks in California or emailing me saying, I have one of your pieces. I would say at least thousands right now. And yeah, that's all I can say.
And you're part of the CAU collection, Clark Atlanta University.
Yes. Brian.
Hey, sir, I wanted to say that art is what inspired me to be a photographer some years ago. And that's why it allowed me to keep my eye on art. And I was so happy to see you walk through my church one day and say, wow, it was co-host my church. My question to you is, do you see that other people's professions are inspired by art? I've had that question asked. It could be either film, sometimes it could be either. I know you said earlier about somebody being a doctor, turn art. Sometimes people could be an artist, being a surgeon even, in the decision of mastering what they do. Do you feel that way, that it kind of goes in reverse sometimes?
Yeah, I see it a lot because even the conversations about not just art, but the conversations about life. I always and then one thing I like about you, I always said that you're able to capture the spirit. That's been every photograph that you've been able to take of me. I have all of them, but which I think photography is so hard though, because everybody think that you just take a camera and shoot, but to capture the spirit is a very important thing.
I was actually shooting in my head while you were talking.
All right, do we have any other questions out in the audience? All right, one moment.
You had mentioned titles. You'll start with a title before creating, and have you thinking that words must be very important to you.
Yeah.
And I thought that that's an interesting way to approach an artwork is with a title first. And so you must contemplate and think about those words and what you're wanting to create.
Mm-hmm.
Is the artwork? Is it wanting it to fulfill what you're thinking in your head as far as that title, or do you just that art is going to be that title? Like that seems.
Well, a lot of the sermons I hear. I mean, I have several of my church members here. A lot of sermons I hear, I'll hear certain things that would trigger me to write down the title, and I try to make the artwork come close to the title. One of the pieces I did that Michael Jordan's ex-wife liked, it was entitled, "If I Change My Name Tomorrow, Will My Journey Stay the Same?" And I had the opportunity to actually meet Michael Jordan with my best friend, Darryl Walker, one of the big collectors. He was talking about how all the money he had, he couldn't save his dad. And so those titles, and then sermons always stay in my mind.
Now, I have another question as well, standing up here. As far as the various ways in which you make art, what has been the most difficult process for you?
Bending the wood. Because I'm one of the, from what I get, I was told I was one of the only artists in the country that's bending wood. And when you ask me, I'm gonna tell you, it's ancient black man's secret.
Yeah.
See you later.
Shoot me an email.
I will.
Okay?
All right.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. I'm as an educator, so I'm going. I have a 7-year-old that can depict things in his head, I would say, and he's in the Pokemon right now. So he captures these characters, and he's written a book, he says.
Oh, wow.
We tape it together and put it in the book form. So I'm trying to decide, because his mom keeps saying, I keep pushing them. But I want to do that in case that is his interest, because he picks up things so easily and can practically just draw the character himself. So I'm trying to decide, is that really an artist in him, or is that just a phase that, he's set?
Well, I think it is. And you're being told that you're gonna be a starving artist. I don't think I'm starving. You're being told, and when I got to Arkansas Pine Bluff, my professor told me there's no such thing as a starving artist, such thing as a starving lazy artist. And you will find a way, if God gives you a talent, you'll find a way to use that talent, but nothing like waking up in the morning and doing what you like doing. And I just know that my mom, she kept me in like art classes. She kept me in everything. And my whole thing was, I wanted to be a welder and a bricklayer. I could make enough money sometime that would last me all winter. And my dad said, no, you're going to college at least 1 year. And when I met those guys, they just opened up my eyes, because I saw them selling artwork. I'm like, hell, I can do that too.
Sorry.
I don't know if this question has been asked.
Okay.
But I wanted to talk about, learn from you about Afro culture and the influence that they have in your journey as an artist. And if there are any groups or organizations that are similar to them.
Yeah, there are a lot of groups that are similar. Africa, as I stated earlier, they were like the Black Panthers of the art movement. They said, well, we're going to do things our way. We're going to focus on positive things about the family. Now, there was a group in Philadelphia called Ray Shashay, that was there like Africobra, and a group called the Chop Shop, which I'm affiliated with them. We got together during COVID, and we just chatted. Cause COVID was such a place where everybody felt like they were just crazy, because you couldn't go anywhere. And we got on Zoom, and we would share images of each other. But I don't know of any other one. But I think that
there were many groups over the years. You have like Nausi, who was in New York City.
Right.
There were really quite a few of activist arts groups coming out of the 60s, and there were a lot of debates around the groups, because you had artists like Raymond Saunders and Sam who were like, I'm not going to join a group because you're not going to tie me to a particular manifesto.
Right.
My art will be my manifesto.
Right.
So we had the big debate between Ishmael Reed and Raymond Saunders. Raymond Saunders, who everyone in here should look up, he said black is a color.
Yeah.
And what he meant by that, he wasn't trying to reject the activism of these black artists. He was trying to reject them telling other artists what it was to be a black artist and how to make art.
Right.
And that's still a debate that goes on to this day, because it's one of the debates that I think is particular to any group who has gone through a particular type of oppression in a country. South Africa, here, you name it. To have the luxury of not needing to care about your physical and political well-being is a luxury for many people in this world.
And see, at the same time, there's a question about what is black art?
That will always
I
be a
get, I mean,
question.
and people ask me, I said, no, I don't do black art.
Thank you.
I mean, now there's a such thing as a black aesthetics, but you get that a lot, you know,
And what's interesting about the conversation, we can go here, is because even when the term post-black came out,
Yep.
which was a moment in the art world, I said nobody else was being asked to post up but us. I never heard of post-white art. I've never
Nope.
heard of post-Asian art. I've never heard of post this and that. But for some reason, as you said in that circle, always needing to redefine ourselves for
Define
the
who we-
political climate
we
at the
are.
moment. But who were we defining ourselves for and why becomes the bigger question for me. Are you making art that's come from in your spirit, your soul, your experience? Or are you making art that's in reaction to what other people think about you? I think that separates the phenomenal artists for those artists who come into what I call the polemic, who fall into the categories of I'm just doing reactionary art due to my oppression. Or do you see yourself outside of the oppression? Or are you just creating phenomenal art? One of the reasons I was proud to put this show together, and when Kevin called me to do so, I said, absolutely, we'd be honored, was I look at Kevin Cole's work and I know these works will stand the test of time, regardless of him being a black artist, him being an American artist. Some art is just damn good. And that's really what it comes down to, because I really don't care what your politics are if your art is crap. As a curator, artists come to me all the time, and I tell them all the time, I don't have to like you. I might think you're the biggest jerk in the world. I don't care about this, that, and the other. The only thing that matters to me is your art good? I'm not here to deny you a place on the wall, because it comes down to your art's going to speak for you when you're dead and gone. Your art's going to speak to the quality of your being, the quality of your aesthetic. It will stand the test of time. And Kevin Cole is one of those artists who I think his art will. And I want to congratulate him for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions in the audience? Yes. And was someone over here raising their hand? No? You? Okay.
Well, brother told me on the technique. I'm pretty much devoid of any artistic skills except telling jokes. That's an inside joke between me and that. So, how do you feel about, or is there any AI influence on you or in the world, in the artistic world? My daughter hates it. I just want to hear your perspective.
I hate it too, but then I'm trying to learn how to use it. Okay?
Thank you.
I'm trying, matter of fact, I just talked to a young man who is very familiar with it. And then I'm gonna tell you this story. When I never hired a person to reproduce things for me, I was in Philadelphia up for a commission, which was $1.4 million, right? They loved my work, but they wanted me to change the colors of the wall, all right? These guys went to Kinko's, changed the colors, and they got the project. So I ended up hiring somebody to show me how to do things like that. And that's why I say I'm talking to a young man right now about AI. How can I get it involved in my work on a positive note?
No, and that's a real thing, because
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, every technological tool that comes along, an artist should learn how to use it.
Yep.
But not be used by it. And what I mean by that is, I'm gonna be honest with you, a person who would buy AI art are the same people who go to IKEA to buy art. A real collector wants this real artist to make that art for them. Those who don't care are gonna buy art from a reproduction company, they'll buy posters, so they're not the ones we should be that should set the standard for what it is. And I tell people all the time, there are people who really don't see art as nothing but a backdrop on their wall.
Well.
So whether it's AI, whether it's poster reproductions, you name it, that's what they're going to buy. But the real collector wants the real artist's work. So I don't think I'm not threatened by AI.
No, I'm not either.
It's just another tool because believe me, when you did those vinyls on that Coca-Cola, there was a time when you wouldn't have been able to do that.
No
Technology
way.
didn't exist.
No.
So you would have had to find somebody to climb up on that scaffold for you.
Yes.
So we have to find ways to utilize these tools, but just don't let them consume us as creatives. So I'm gonna bring this over to you.
Thank you, Mr. My hand wasn't raised, but my spirit was. You know that. So thank you. Thank you as well for just sharing your journey with us, sharing your art with us as well with the world. My question is about your journey. Have you ever experienced a period of time in your creative journey where you just felt like something was locked up inside of you, where things weren't, flowing as freely as they have maybe in other parts of your journey? And if so, what did it take for that to shift for you?
I've always relied on my faith. My parents, and I always tell people that I know my dad was a praying man and my mom was too. So I always go back to that. But then anytime I'm doing the painting these days, I put on Miles Davis, John Coltrane. They work me out of it. Or another one is Aretha Franklin, her gospel album, Amazing Grace. But I think that you find those things that help work you out of it, and we all get stuck. I mean, on paintings, like you're in the studio a lot of time, and it's that one. And sometimes I hear my friends say, "Man, that painting kicked my butt," and I just think your faith would take you through all of it, But as an artist, I say that I always stop on one piece, and I'll come back and do something else.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I tell people all the time, you struggle to get to a certain style, but once you get into the zone of that style, it starts just flowing. But you have to find a way to work it out first. So I definitely second that. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah.
Got another?
Go ahead.
Come on.
Come on.
So, you're multidisciplinary when it comes to art. What do you say to artists who are having trouble breaking cast from a medium that, they're so locked into? Is it important that they experiment with other mediums?
Yes.
Or like, if you're good at this, stay at this.
Now, if you look around the room, I did every medium. I tried it, and I tell artists, especially young artists, I work with a lot of grad students from around the country. Don't pigeonhole yourself into one medium. Sam Gilliam, he taught me that because he did metal, he did wood. I mean, always go into trying to keep an open mind about different medium, and then every medium not going to be the one that helps that piece. Okay, so depending on the medium, example, the copper piece is part of my blanket series where I was folding things. My mom was a housekeeper, and I would go with her to people's houses, and we would fold the blankets. So I was in Denver I was getting an award there, and I went to the Denver Museum there, and they had these stacks of tapestry that was folded. That's what inspired that particular series.
And think of the beauty of that, the experience from your childhood.
Yep.
And the memory and inspiration of those pieces.
Oh, yeah.
All of it comes together. Yeah, creative play is one of the greatest aspects. I tell artists all the time, don't be afraid to screw up. Because if you're afraid to screw up, you're afraid to be a great artist.
Well, I tell them all the time, you're going to do a lot of bad paintings before you do a lot of good paintings. It just, some of us are able to sell our bad paintings. I never shall forget, Bank of America came to town. They were looking at artists' work. We had a studio party at my studio. The guy had wasted whiskey on a piece of paper. And they kept going to that piece. No, y'all don't want that piece. They kept going to that piece. That's when they bought. And when they, and then when they flew all of us to Charlotte, I went up trying to smell this, if I can still smell the whiskey.
Brother Sip, let me ask you a question. Kevin, the phenomenon regarding art and neuroscience. Of course, neuroscience examines how art impacts humans cognitively, emotionally, and physically. And if that's a trend, I know the High Museum is really starting an initiative with HBCU in that regard. Because your work is so prolific. Like I said, how many pieces have you done? And called art, there's an emotional connection. Have you been engaged in that aspect of it?
I have not, but then I've had collectors who happen to be black have talked about how the work made them feel. And I tell people, I have a title for everyone. I don't do a piece, I don't have a piece that I don't have a title for the piece. The titles are very, very important. For instance, one of my collectors told me about something. She said, you know what? I feel this piece. I mean, and we started talking. She said, "This I don't feel like anything else, but I feel this piece." And I think that's the joy of abstraction, especially with a lot of African American black abstract artists. Because now, if you look at the history, a lot of black abstract artists are getting their due right now because they were doing stuff a long time ago. You got Jack Whitten, Sam. They are in double, well, they're in triple figures right now. Because the spirit of the work, I think it was the spirit and the way it was done.
Right, and a lot of these pieces help with the healing process, because sometimes, Brother said, they can give them an empty sheet of paper with colors, and it allows them, whatever issues they're dealing with, it's a healing process as well.
If you can
And with
find,
kids too, and with kids too, because I have a young lady, she's in DC now, she's one of my students. She worked with art therapy, she worked with the soldiers who come back from war. They're doing art therapy. That's the hot thing right now.
I would recommend for anybody who wants to pursue this history of African American abstraction, there is a film that was made many years ago called Persistence of Vision.
Yes.
Highly recommended because it talks about the struggles that many African American abstract artists went through back in the late 40s, in the 50s, and early 60s, who are now legends in the art world, who were innovators in the abstract movement, but who were, of course, left out of the history books when it came to the innovative innovations they brought to it. Of course, Jack Whitten is getting way overdue his due. But there's so many others that you need. Betty Blayton Taylor, who was African-American female abstractionist out of New York. But Persistence of Vision is the name of that film. And if you can find it, it'll be one of your most satisfying viewings. So definitely. Do we have any more questions out in the audience?
And see, one of the other things about those artists, I tell the story that I bought a Al Loving for $4,000. So when I turned 60, I said, you know what? I want a new car. I looked on the wall, called a curators. I sold it for like $18,500 within 2 hours. So he's one of those black abstract artists that everybody is talking about.
Yes.
And also there are some catalogs in the back, some posters for sale as well.
My question, being someone who has such an amazing collection, I've been blessed enough to come into your home and see how every one of your walls is covered with a masterpiece from African American artists in your generation and now. What do you say to those interested in collecting or who are collecting, about a mass of artists in Atlanta. You know, a lot of times people and collectors will travel outside of Atlanta
Yeah.
to discover an Atlanta artist, right? And that seems outrageous to me, but you know, sometimes we need to be verified, right? Like they're outside of their norm, so maybe they're on the radar now. So what do you say to collectors here, you know, to maybe start collecting more of the people that are close to this?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I have both black and white artists. I mean, I couldn't just separate them, but I think that buying a lot of the young artists, there's a room upstairs. I got just emerging artists. I wish I had some more room because I got about 350 pieces at my house. And at my studio, there's another collection of art. But I always want to support the emerging artists. And that's when I met you, but you ain't doing nothing small. You know, your stuff is big.
Don't just say I met you. Tell everybody who he is.
Hopeton.
Who will be
Sinclair?
having an exhibition here in this very
Yes.
same space
Yes.
in a few months.
Dynamite artists.
Yes.
I mean, dynamite artists. But then there are a lot of, in Atlanta, there are a lot of young artists who are doing some marvelous work. But then there are a lot of other artists like Philip Carpenter, who I would love to have one of his too, you know, but you know, and the way that I got my collection, I traded a lot. I traded.
Yeah, that's what I've done as well. Cause
Yeah.
I got a rack if I'm holding on to. But one of the things that's very important, and I'm glad you brought that up, is I run 3 galleries for the city of Atlanta. That comes out to about 18 shows a year, which is crazy. But when they gave me the first gallery to run, it was only 1 gallery at one point. Then we created a second, and then this one had always been here, but others were running it. People thought it would be a problem, but it was not. Because for me, I suddenly had more galleries where I could put artists in a much faster pace than waiting for one. It is very, very important, and I say this to all collectors in the room, you have phenomenal world-class artists right here in the metro Atlanta area. Do not look around the world to find them.
And when you in saying that, I want a few of my collectors who have pieces in the show to stand, or Craig in the back. He owned a figure father, the Taylors. Craig owns about 9. I don't get a collector that don't have at least a picky owns about 3. Most of my collectors get at least 3 or 4 pieces, and they Shelton, her dad bought the boy in the chair a long time ago, and they own several of my other pieces. And I was telling my son that they paid his child support.
And I'll say this for all those collectors who collect multiples, always a great idea, because if you have to let go of something, let it be one of many than the only one.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's very important. So if we don't have any more questions, do we have any more in the audience? We have one more, and then we're just gonna we're gonna wrap it up and let people enjoy looking at some more of the art.
Hi, good afternoon. I want to first acknowledge, on behalf of the National Society Incorporated, I am the National Archivist. Kevin is one of our honorary friends, and we are just so incredibly proud of all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
So on behalf of all 35 chapters, we wanted to say thank you for being a part of our community.
Thank you.
Professionally, I'm an art appraiser. I specialize in African American art, and I also buy art. I bought a print from you for Roosevelt Hall.
Okay.
When we were renovating that building for the Atlanta Housing Authority.
Right.
And I don't see many prints, and I kind of know why, but they had a budget that could only afford a print at that time. Are you servicing that market? And if so, where can we find more prints of yours for institutional clients that I buy for who might not have budget to buy originals?
I have a few.
Okay. Thank you.
Most of the time that the prints, they sell fast, and I'm not, like I say, but I do have some. Matter of fact, the Honolulu Museum of Art in Hawaii just purchased one, two. No, they purchased two of the prints. So I do have some. It's just trying to, yeah, okay.
All right.
About the books and the catalogs in the back.
Indeed, that's
Yeah,
the next thing.
yeah.
So for everyone who might want to take a small walk away, we do have catalogs for sale in the adjacent room, posters as well of Kevin Cole's work. So take a moment to go look at those. We have hardcovers and catalogs from previous exhibitions. But before we do any of that, I want everybody to give this master
Thank you.
a round of applause.
Thank you.
So this exhibition will run to the end of March. Please let your friends and family and associates know about it. We do have a calendar online that lets you know of all the upcoming exhibitions that will be taking place. And like I said, we gave them a shout out, but in a few months you will see another fabulous exhibition in this space by Brother, stand up, Hopton.
Hopton Sinclair.
Be ready, because you will be blown away by the works of Brother Hopton Sinclair. Thank you.